Hey folks, Quill18 here, and the results for Ludum Dare 31 are in. For those of you who don't know, Ludum Dare is a game programming competition where you have 48 hours to build a game from scratch. This year, or not this year, there's 3 competitions per year. In Ludum Dare 31, there were 2,640 entries, and my entry, V for Vectory, Maximum Overquill Edition, came in 40th for fun and 55th overall, which is a very good rating. Not my absolute best rating, but definitely one of my top ones so far. And despite this score, I'm going to say there's a lot of things wrong with this game, and I'm going to be the very first person to critique it. Oh wait, hold on, that's not literally true. The very first person to critique it is actually this user Lies Hard over here, who, keeping in mind that these times are in UTC, actually reviewed the game 13 minutes before the end of the competition. And he commented, he or she I suppose, commented that the idea is incredibly simplistic, try harder next time. First of all, I think the fact that my score was relatively good should be indicative that, given the fact that this is a 48-hour solo from scratch competition, my game actually rates relatively okay compared to a lot of others in terms of complexity and things like that. That being said, I think the game would have been 10 times better if it had been 10 times simpler. 10 times simpler would have made it 10 times better. So let's talk about this. First of all, the theme was that the entire game would have to be played out on one screen, which this game does, and my initial inspiration for the game was the idea of what if we took a MOBA, like League of Legends or Dota, and just zoomed out the screen a whole bunch and had it played out at that point. And I think if I'd used some sort of like click-to-move kind of mechanic, it would have felt that way. However, very early on in the development process, I decided to implement the controls for the player to be a sort of twin-stick shootery kind of thing, where you use the WASD keys or the arrow keys to move your person around, use the mouse to aim and shoot, and turn it into this very fast-paced arcade shooter. And really the only thing that's left about the idea of like a zoomed out MOBA is the fact that there's these sort of, I don't know, I guess you could call it jungle mobs that you can go and kill for bonus money. But other than that, it's really a twin stick shooter base defense kind of game. With lots of features, like you can build turrets and drop down ice patches and put down landmines and firewalls, and you can nuke the whole screen. And there's a big upgrade system with all kinds of different things, and oh god, it's just so complicated. I mean, there's so much going on that you don't get to see most of it, and I think that's a very, a tremendous shame in the game. I mean, I'm not going to say that this game was supposed to be a AAA title. It won't be developed anymore. It was supposed to be fun, and it certainly is there on the fun feature. However, one of the problems with the game is the balance. It's either, if you watch a stream and you know how the game works, it's way too easy because you know all the super power-ups to get. But if you didn't and you just try to play, a lot of people complain that it was too hard, which is, you know, a sign that, whoa, something went a little bit wrong. And, yeah, so there's all these features, like, for example, this great nuke button. You hit the nuke button, the screen goes all wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, and it looks amazingly cool, and most people will never see it because they'll never use the nuke, and that's not good! And so, yeah, so I think that the game would have been better if a lot of the features, literally, if, like, with 10 minutes left of the competition, I had just turned off half the features in the game. I think the game would have been improved right then and there, because it would have been more focused, and it would have directed people in the quote-unquote sort of correct direction to maybe play the game, and have it work with the current game balance, for example. We would have pushed people in the right direction for that. If I had just gone back in time and not implemented half the features to start off with, it would have meant that the rest of the stuff would have been a lot more clean and smooth and better executed. One of the examples for this is the map. I mean, I actually put in some thought about the map design to try to make it kind of interesting to play at, but in the end, it just looks like this sort of a rough, no thought given, a thoughtless kind of map, which is not good. In fact, it would have been better if I had not gone more complicated, if I'd actually strip down the map to its barest essentials by, say, instead of going like diagonal, wiggly-woggly, free drawn map, if I had just gone with like straight lines and a boxy design, I think the game would have felt better. It would have felt cleaner, and it would have felt, I guess it would have felt more intentional. You know, like it would have been clear that I intended these lines to be here. If I'd just gone with a straight, square, boxy design for the map, I actually think that it would have felt better. Just like if I just removed a lot of the features, I think it would have been a better, tighter game. There's is it a sculptor or something that said that you know, the image and the marble is always there, you gotta chip away everything else or something like that. Or another quote is, perfection is attained not when there is nothing left to add, but when there's nothing left to take away. And that's the thing, I should have taken away and taken away and taken away and brought the game down to its barest essence. That being said, I only have 48 hours. I'm sleep deprived, food deprived, light deprived, and just kind of generally going crazy, and there's a limit to what you can do, I suppose, there. I'm a little disappointed that the sound only scored 155 overall, because, or 166, rather, I should say, for the audio, because honestly, that dubstep in the background, that's some pretty fat beats. Maybe I'm overestimating my own sound design there. But anyway, ultimately the game was fun, got a lot of positive commentary, and more importantly, had a great time developing it. And yeah, if I did want to take, you know, another 12 hours, say, like given 3 weeks of thought, I spent 3 weeks thinking about this game when the judging came out, and given the 3 weeks of thought, if I'd been giving another 12 hours, or maybe, you know, at this point, if I just took another 4 hours to remove things and tune the balance as a result of tuning that, I think the game would have literally been a lot better. I'm not convinced that it would have judged any higher, because a lot of the games that came out higher are like brilliant games of like, oh, elegance and art and all this. And, you know, I just aim for a game that's fun to play. You know, the complaint, oh, it's just a simple arcade game. That's literally what I was going for. I just wanted simple arcade, fun, pew, 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 with lots of particle effects and explosions, because I can't think of anything better. You know, that's exactly the sort of thing I was aiming for, and so I enjoyed it. I was very happy with the entry. I think it's relatively fine. I wish I had just trimmed down the design by a factor of at least half, if not, you know, by 10 or something like that. I think it would have been better. Oh, the other thing that I thought of, and I think I thought of this like an hour after the competition ended. It was like, I turned off the stream, and like an hour later, I was like, oh my god, I'm such an idiot. I should have done this. When you kill the jungle mobs, which is the only remaining sort of MOBA-ish feature in the game, or you blow up one of the portals, they explode in like dollar signs. And dollar signs are there to show that you got bonus cash. And in hindsight, it was like, oh my god, the idea was so obvious. Everything you kill in the game should drop the dollar signs, and instead of just automatically getting points, you should have to go and pick up the dollar signs to get the points to upgrade or whatever the system, you know, would have been in a rebalanced system. It's so obvious that you should have been able to do that, and maybe, you know, like vacuuming them in. That could have been one of the upgrades, just vacuum the dollar signs from farther away. I think the game would have been much more satisfying if that were the case. Other than that, I mean, I like the wave system. I like the sort of glow effect. I like the sort of vector CRT kind of graphics. I think that's a great kind of mood for this game. I thought that was fine. I like the geometric shape for the ships, both the enemy ships and your own turrets and your base. Actually, really quite keen on the base, actually. And yeah, that's it. I think visually what I would have changed is I would have made the level more square, straight line, and boxy. I would have taken out the ice patch, the mine, and the firewall, I think. Maybe building turrets is still kind of cool. And I would have made the nuke, I mean, if I had an extra several hours to just play and test and rebalance and rebalance and rebalance, I would have liked the nuke to be something that you could and had to use much more frequently. Maybe have it be a meter that recharges, so every, like, you know, 30 seconds of gameplay you can nuke. It takes about roughly 30 seconds for the nuke meter to recharge, and then you can just nuke the shit out of everything. And that might be incredibly fun. I think that would have been a lot better. One of the things I didn't like is that the nuke cost money or upgrade points, and so instead you had to choose whether you were upgrading or building a turret or using a nuke, for example. And I think in hindsight, if it had been a power bar that charged up, it would have made the game a bit better. Little things like that, but you know, overall, I had a lot of fun on the weekend. I want to take this time to thank everyone who came out to watch the live stream once more. Really appreciate everyone who came out. I had a blast. I hope everyone had a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to the next one. Again, Ludum Dare is something that comes up every 4 months. It's 3 times a year, so the next one will be, I guess, in March, I think. I don't know if the actual date has been announced, but it'll be, oh no, April 17th. April 17th, it has been announced. So April 17th will be the next one, and that'll be a blast. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll go back to building a strategy game. Of course, a strategy game is even more important that you keep things super mega simple, because the strategy game is all about the balance, and the more things, adding one feature multiplies the complexity, because you got to think, if you've got, you know, if you've only got one feature, then you just have to balance that. If you got 2 features, you have to balance them sort of individually, but also with each other. Then when you got 3, now you're sort of multiplying. It's like an exponential thing, right? So it's like 2 to the power of 3, and then you've got a 4th one, it's 2 to the power of 4. So you're going from like a complexity of 2 to a complexity of 4 to 8 to 16, 32, 64, 128. Like, that's the thing. It just grows so quickly that it becomes very unwieldy to balance in a 48-hour period. So you got a game in 48 hours. It's not as much about the actual programming as much as making it so that it's still balanced and fun. And I think it's a game that is fun, but is a little too challenging for the early player and has a lot of features that won't really come into bear, although there's some very neat ideas there, and I certainly learned a lot, and it was fun. Anyway, that is it. Thank you very much. See you next time. See you in April. Bye-bye.